Time is running out, guys. If you want to get your chance to win our wide body 2008 STI, every $1 you spend on our website, whether it be on performance parts or merchandise, gives you one entry to win. Good luck.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Throttle. I'm Mickey Engine and I'm going to be your host today. We are going to be putting our sound system in our Subaru STI sweepstakes car. If you guys haven't already gotten your entries in to win this car, you can head over to our website, www.throtl.com, sign up for VIP membership, or buy a part or buy some merchandise. Every dollar you spend gives you an entry to win this beautiful thing here that we're going to be giving away at the end of May. And that leads me to the audio system. We've done just about everything on this car up to this point, and the one thing we haven't addressed is the audio system. We've got some Pioneer stuff that we purchased. So this is a Pioneer head unit with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. We have a mounting kit for it as well. The OEM Plus bolt-in integrated 8-inch subwoofer, as well as their digital processor and wiring kit. This is a plug-and-play kit, and to complement those items, we've got a set of Kicker 6.5 components, as well as a set of Kicker 6.5 coaxes for the rear doors. These will outfit all the doors with new speakers. These are the crossovers for our tweeters, and here are our 6.5 front door speakers. When we reached out to Kicker, they said, you know what, we want to put our best foot forward and give you guys our newest, best, baddest ass product that we have coming out. This is actually the first set ever sent to the US. This is their sample set of speakers because they haven't received the full shipment of inventory yet. But they wanted to make sure we had these speakers for this car. That's how much they like what we're doing. We've always been huge fans of Kicker on this channel. If you guys watch our previous builds, we almost always put Kicker replacement speakers in every car. Next on the list of items we have here are some of our items from Metra. One of the cool things about modern cars is that, as you know, a lot of times they have steering wheel controls for the audio system, and we want to retain it. So we went ahead and picked up the Universal Fit Auto Detect technology. Basically, this allows us to retain the steering wheel controls. We also have the speaker harness. It says fits Toyota, but I'm told that these are actually the same as the Subaru ones. What these do is allows you to not have to cut your speaker factory speaker connector off to hook up an aftermarket speaker. I figured when we do this Subaru, let's throw some sound deadening in here. So we've got a 9-piece kit of sound deadening pads in different shapes and sizes. What I'll go ahead and do is install some of this stuff on our door panels and any places where we might get some rattling or panel vibration. All right, so I've gone ahead and laid out our Kicker KS series 6.5-inch speakers. So this is our component set. These are gonna go in the front doors, and I've already removed the Subaru speaker surround to make sure that everything fits, and it does. So what's awesome about these is they're going to handle a lot of power. They're going to handle all the power that the OEM Audio Plus amp can throw at them. We've got a silk tweeter. We've got a neodymium magnet on the tweeter. We've also got a polypropylene cone. These are going to handle all the wattage that we're going to throw at them, and they're going to sound awesome. What's nice is they also have this crossover that we're going to apply to them as well. These will probably either get mounted in the door panels or under a seat. And so for the fronts, we have the same thing, except for instead of the tweeters being separated and having a crossover, they're actually applied directly to the speaker itself. So I pulled the door panels off, and this is what it looks like underneath there. And then we have our factory speakers here. So we're gonna be reusing these rings that go behind the factory speaker to mount our Kicker speaker. And then as you guys saw, we have the Metra Adapter that's basically gonna act as this plug here. This is actually a really nice part from Metra, and this is something a lot of people skimp out on. They only cost a couple bucks. But what I like about it is it keeps you from just snipping off the factory connector, the factory power wiring for the speaker, and that's now going to plug directly into our Metra connector, and now this side has the connectors for our speaker. All right, so one of the things I found to be really cool is that Subaru actually made a little metal bracket that mounts on the speaker surround here. This one says RH, which means right hand, and it basically bolts in there once the speaker's on. And what's cool about these Metra connectors is it actually has the provision for it to mount back on the factory post. So I'm gonna grab our front speaker here and get the wiring put on. So they make this real easy. They got a big connector and a small connector. And on here they've got a big and a small, so you can't really screw that up. And what's cool is Kicker actually has a little recessed area in the back of their magnet housing here. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually put a piece of sound deadening on the back, but I'm gonna put the wire in this channel first so that it stays secure and there's no tension pulling on where we plug these in so that they don't come unplugged in the future. So I forgot that I have to actually wire in the crossover box and also the tweeter to the front speaker. So we're gonna mount this in the door. I need to find a place behind the door panel where it fits. It's gonna be probably kind of tough. And then what has to happen is our input for this crossover is gonna plug into our factory wiring input so that power and ground are coming into here, goes into this crossover, and it crosses the highs over to the tweeter and the mids over to the mid-bass speaker here that's mounted in our factory location as well. So I've got this all wired in now. As you can see, I put a piece of our ballistic mat on the back here and ran the wire out through the side, comes out over here, and then we can mount the box in the door, the crossover in the door, and carry on to figuring out how we're gonna mount these tweeters. So one of the tricky parts about doing separates or mids and tweets is that you need to find a place to put the crossover. And oftentimes the crossovers are decently sized, as this one is. This is just the cover for it, but a lot of times people will actually lengthen the wires or run them into the car underneath one of the seats or something hidden out of the way. However, because we are running the OEM Audio Plus system and everything's already factory integrated, it would just be a lot of extra work to mount these inside the car. What I'm finding is that unfortunately underneath the door panels there isn't a whole lot of room to mount these things. So what I did find was in this cavity underneath our weather shielding, there is basically a pocket, and inside that pocket there is a plastic piece that basically goes in here, and it keeps what it looks like. It keeps the separation between the window and the door panel and keeps things from kind of moving around. And you can tell that they've got foam on the back, and they also have isolation tape on there. What I'm gonna do is, since this is just dead space, I'm actually gonna hollow out the face of this plastic cap, and I'm actually gonna mount our crossover basically inside the cavity of this piece. Alright, so just want to take a second and show you how I installed the crossover into this little panel here. So I went ahead and cleared some room for our wires to come in and out. I'll go ahead and get these tidied up. I don't love this situation here, but we'll get that sorted out. We've got plenty of Metra products here. It turned out pretty good. I think it's a nice secure place to mount the crossover. Gets it out of the way. We're not gonna have any issues with the back of the door panel contacting it, which is great. So I'm on to the next step. But the next thing I need to do after that is actually figure out how to put this Kicker tweeter into our factory housing. I noticed there's some screws on the back and this will all come apart. And I gotta see if I can figure out a way to mount this tweeter, which looks to be a little bit bigger than the factory one, inside this housing. Alright, so I've removed the factory tweeter, which is way smaller than the kicker tweeter that came with our separate setup. I was able to trim out some of the area in the back, and also I removed the grill off of the kicker tweeter. I was able to get it to fit in here pretty nice, and I used some of the black butyl rubber surround stuff to seal the tweeter against the inside of the housing. That way it's not rattling around in here whenever the base hits in the door in the mid. We should have something that's fairly secure and is not going to move around while you're driving or anything like that. So alright, so I went ahead and zipped ahead and got the wiring done on this one. We've got our crossover mounted. I went ahead and used some zip ties with the hole provision on them like this. Some of these guys, and basically what you do is you zip tie your wires together and you use the hole on the zip tie to actually mount to the door. We just use some self tappers, and then I went ahead and just threw some loom on it so it looks a little more factory. It's nice and tight against the door, and we shouldn't have any issues with any rattling or anything with that. I'm just gonna go ahead and finish off this door by putting just a little bit more of the sound deadening on, and we should be good to go. Alright guys, so I just put my head down and knocked out this passenger side door. I think it turned out pretty good. We got our little guy here, our crossover, same way we did on the other side. Used a bunch of Metra products and got this secured, and gonna get everything powered up as soon as we get the head unit in. We also have the tweeters wired up, so that's already ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the rear doors. This is what they look like. It is basically the exact same treatment that we did in the front in order to disassemble everything. The only difference is we're not doing separates in the doors back here. We're just putting 6.5 coaxes in, and so it's a simple remove the door panel, remove the speaker, plug in our Metra quick harness adapter for the power and ground, and pop the speaker back in, pop the door panel back on. And we're done with the speakers, and we can move on to the head unit and all the rest of the stuff. Before I get started on anything else, I want to make sure that all these speakers work, so I have reference to know once we start doing the OEM Audio Plus portion of this video and that amplifier, as well as the head unit. I just want to know that all this stuff already works. So let's give her a whirl. All right. Okay, we got radio power. That's good. Oh. Oh.
With it, I'm gonna show you how.
Gotta be careful of the copyrights here. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and check, and this is an easy way to check. I'm gonna go to the fader and take it all the way to the front, and then turn the volume up. Okay, we got front speakers. So let's go to the balance and turn it to the right. All right, we got front right. That's good. So let's go back to balance. Go left. All right, we got front left, so that's good. Let's go back to the fader, move it to the rear, and balance is to the left.
I'm gonna show you.
All right, we got left rear sound, that's good. Right rear.
slide, then I hit.
Yeah, all right. Success! I also want to check and make sure the tweeter is working separate from the mid and the door, so I'll do that as well. But it sounds like everything is good to go. And now we can move on to the OEM Audio Plus portion of the install, which requires a lot of interior removal, as well as our Pioneer head unit install. We are putting a touchscreen in here. So this unit will be going bye-bye. And from what I understand, I'm not a big Subaru guy, but from what I understand, this is like the basic head unit. You guys are probably also noticing that there's a lot of scratches and nicks in the car, but don't worry, I ordered a new one of these surrounds, which includes the vents for the car, so when that comes, we'll install that. I also ordered the new trim panel for around the shifter because this has some surface scratching on it. So that'll get replaced, and we also are ordering new door pull handles because these are fairly scratched up as well, just from years of use. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call it a wrap for the day. I'm going to go ahead and jump on the OEM Audio Plus install in the morning and getting all this interior out, so you can join me then. And we're back for another day on the STI audio system. Today we're going to go ahead and tear the interior of this car apart because we need to lay out all of the cabling for our OEM Audio Plus system that goes back here in the trunk. And as you guys can see here, we got a heap of wiring that we need to run through the chassis. Actually, OEM Audio Plus does a fantastic job of how to on all of their systems that they sell on their YouTube channel. So if you guys get one of these systems, rest assured there is a step-by-step, very detailed how-to on their YouTube channel. So you can follow that. I'm just gonna go ahead and knock this out and basically give you guys an overview of how it all goes together. Basically, the amp to subwoofer wiring is complete, it's routed, and I've put everything back together. So now I'm gonna move on to actually the radio, the head unit. So that's gonna have to come out. We have a factory head unit in here, as you guys saw previously. We are replacing it with a Pioneer double-din unit. That's a touchscreen, it has CarPlay and all that stuff. So I gotta go ahead and pull this one out. So I'm gonna start taking the trim out, prepare to run the wiring for the head unit portion of the install. Alright, well now that we've got everything routed inside the car, cabling wise and power wire wise, we went ahead and, I should say I, because there's no we during COVID-19 unfortunately, went ahead and mounted the OEM Audio Plus amp board and digital sound processor board in the car. It actually mounts on the sides in some factory locations. There's some M6 studs that come out of the chassis, and this thing just plops right down on top of them. You put the two supplied nuts on, and then start routing your wires to plug everything in. It's super self-explanatory. This is definitely one of the most comprehensive kits I've ever worked with, and everything is very well thought out, so super happy about that. Now we do have a base knob that needs to be routed, but that's probably just going to go up into the dash somewhere, so I'm going to go ahead and tidy it up a bit. That there. Man, that looks nice. Alright, now that we've got our amps mounted and the digital signal processor mounted, the dash is still pretty torn apart, so I'm going to go ahead and run the microphone for our hands-free calling for the Pioneer head unit, as well as the USB port for the back of the head unit as well, routed out somewhere accessible, like in the armrest or in the glove box or something, so that you can plug in a USB cable to the female portion and be able to power your phone or hook up to the Android Auto or CarPlay. So while this is all apart, I might as well route those things now. Right now, while I'm putting the microphone and the USB cable, and I just want to show you sort of what I did here. Basically, I've mounted the microphone right here. It is under the glass, under the black portion. It's hard to see it, but I promise you it's there. And essentially, I've pointed that towards the driver and hidden the wires under this cable routing here. It's a super tidy look. It should translate really well for hands-free calling. And I went ahead and just routed the cable up under the headliner, down the A-pillar, and I'm gonna run it behind the dash into here to the deck. So that's actually a really simple thing to do. And if you do get one of these head units, don't not install it just because it takes a little bit of time. It's totally worth it, and it's safe too. And now, as for our USB dongle, I'm gonna go ahead and actually toss that in the glove box. It's just a common place for people to keep them. And it can be moved rather easily. As you can see here, we've got a nice little access to the center up here. So I'm just going to route that through and leave it lay until we go ahead and push the head unit through the hole and we can plug it in. Also, while I've got this all torn apart, went ahead and actually removed the SI drive switch panel. I'm not sure what the technical name is. Some of you Subaru guys will probably be able to tell me straight away, but if you look closely, the dial on this thing was pretty screwed up. The paint is starting to peel off. And if you remember in the tuning video, when you select one of these three selections on here, it changes the tune. I wanted to make sure this thing looked good, so Evan and I actually jumped online and purchased a brand new unit from Subaru, as you guys saw in a previous video. And a lot of you guys flamed us for buying a new one of these when we could have just bought a cover up for this button. But we didn't want to put a cover up. This is a really focal part inside the car. It's right in front of your face when you're sitting in the driver or passenger seat. So we wanted to keep an OE look, and went ahead and ordered a new one. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this one on my desk and grab the new one and pop it in. Alright, so this is where I ran our USB cable. I also tossed the head unit in already, just bolted it in, pushed all the wires back. I do have a protective film on here, that's why it looks green, guys. It's actually a really classy looking head unit. I just put a piece of green sticker on there to keep the face from getting scratched up during the installation process. Let's see, we got some other bits to put back here, but man, that looks nice and crispy. Man, I love new OEM parts. Nothing better. And if any of you guys know where we can find a new armrest, I do want to replace this. So we're gonna look online for one of those, see if we can find one. If anybody knows where we can find a brand new one, or thinks maybe we should just custom wrap this in some headliner material or some suede like the seat, we're open to suggestions for that. Oh, that's a good sign. We got power. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug in, and plugging into The CarPlay is as simple as just plugging in a USB cable, which I have plugged in down here. Tap to play file. Our access, integrate. Steering wheel controls are working. So, oh! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Dang! Man, for an 8-inch woofer, that thing really hits. Holy cow. I still haven't covered up the amp and sound processor yet. They're just sitting down here. And that doesn't belong. That's for our airbag wiring. Wow. This is definitely the best system we've had in any car we've ever built. Let's try some different music. One of the really dope things about this OEM Audio Plus sound system, it has a bass control knob, which I showed you guys earlier. I mounted it down here in the pocket, and I can adjust the bass just by turning this knob. There's a little knob. Woo! So sick. I am beyond excited that we were able to finally do an audio system in one of our giveaway cars, and I will say that we couldn't have asked for better partners. We went ahead and reached out to OEM Audio Plus because we've used them in the past for other projects and around the shop, not necessarily our particular projects, but I'm familiar with their brand and absolutely love it. This is the first time we've got to put one in a car of our own to give away, and man, I'm jealous. I want this for my own car. And we also partnered with Metra Electronics to get us all the equipment to put it in the car. Not only do they provide all the stuff to make the things fit in the car, like the head unit kit and the Access Integrate, which is another one of their companies to make the steering wheel controls communicate with our CAN bus system and allow them to work with an aftermarket head unit. I mean, it's incredible. And beyond that, we were able to get Kicker audio on board. And if you guys know us, you know we use Kicker in all the builds. Ricky and I just like Kicker, so we buy them. And Kicker decided on this one to step up and actually hooked us up with some of their brand new 2020 KS series speakers, and they sound absolutely amazing. So fitted with those and the OEM Audio Plus system, we're super happy. I can't wait till the rest of the guys get to hear this. It sounds unreal. Hey OEM Audio Plus, you guys want to make a system for a Lexus CT200H? I would love to put this in my own car. The guys at OEM Audio Plus actually designed the output for this chassis. So they've actually done a bunch of R&D, and it's actually even specific down to our Pioneer head unit, which is super badass. The minute I turn it on, it knows that at its flat settings, the head unit, it's already optimizing that for us off of all of the data that they've collected off this chassis for sound and acoustics. Man, out of the box, I don't think you can beat this. Ease of installation, I don't think you can beat this. I wasn't intending this to be a commercial for OEM Audio Plus, but damn, I'm impressed. I haven't even shown you guys subwoofer in the back. So as you guys know, as I was doing the install, I showed you guys all the wiring was hidden away and everything. And this is basically what you're left with once it's all said and done. You just got a little audio enclosure in here with an 8-inch carbon fiber cone subwoofer. You can see the carbon, it's so cool. And it's fastened really tightly with some brackets that actually mount in the factory location. So it utilizes these little guys here for groceries or whatever. You pop those out, pop their brackets in, and that's a 2-minute installation. And it looks really tidy in there. Doesn't take up much room. Still leaves you floor space to put your groceries or whatever you want to put back there. And the wiring is really nice too. So it comes up through underneath the fender well, comes out here, and we'll tuck this away nice. And it is fused, a couple fuses here for that. It's just nice because it's easy. OEM Audio Plus absolutely nailed it with this. And I guess that's a wrap for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little installment, and I hope we can do more car audio in the cars in the future. I really enjoyed this. I would have rather have been doing it with Ricky, but unfortunately we can't be doing work together right now soon enough. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys in the next one.